What if the greatest strength of your life was born not from victory, but from unbearable loss? What if the very pain that once broke you became the wings that lifted you higher than you ever imagined? This is not just the story of a runner. It's the story of a boy who lost everything: family, home, hope, and yet he chose to run. He ran not just to win medals, but to outrun his past, to chase freedom, and to prove that pain does not have to end in defeat. This is the story of Milkha Singh, the flying Sikh. The year was 1947. India was burning in the flames of partition. Villages were torn apart by violence, families displaced overnight. In that chaos was a young boy, Milkha. He witnessed the unimaginable: the death of his parents, the destruction of his home, and the brutality of riots. He became an orphan, a wanderer. Imagine this: a child with no food, no shelter, no family, walking barefoot on dusty roads, sleeping in railway stations, stealing to survive. For many, this would have been the end of their story. But for Milkha, it was the painful beginning of something extraordinary. Years later, as a young man in the Indian Army, Milkha discovered something within himself: running. At first, it wasn't glory or fame. It was escape. He ran because running gave him a sense of freedom, a way to silence the ghosts of his past. Each step was a rebellion against the pain that once tried to define him. His commanders noticed his speed. Soon, he was given the chance to represent the army in competitions. And then, India. But let's pause here. It's easy to say he had talent. But talent alone doesn't build legends. Behind every lap Milkha ran were hours of training in scorching heat, bleeding feet, and days where his body screamed to stop. Milkha Singh didn't just win races, he broke records. He became the first Indian athlete to truly dominate international tracks. The world began calling him the Flying Sikh. Yet his journey was not without heartbreak. At the 1960 Rome Olympics, in the 400 meters final, he was the favorite. The stadium held its breath. Milkha led the race until the final 100 meters. But in a split second of hesitation, he slowed down and finished fourth. He missed the medal by a fraction of a second. For most athletes, this would have been the end. A moment of despair, to be buried under shame. But Milkha didn't let one defeat erase a lifetime of triumph. Instead, he turned it into a lesson. You don't always win in life, but you always learn. Here's where the story becomes more than sports. Milkha Singh's life teaches us something profound. Pain can either paralyze you or propel you. Psychologists often say that trauma reshapes the brain. It can break resilience or build it. Milkha's past, the violence, the orphanhood, the hunger could have chained him forever. But instead, he used that very suffering as fuel. His trauma became his training ground. Think of it this way. A kite only rises when the wind pushes against it. A cue. Milkha's life was that kite. Every blow of hardship was the wind that forced him higher. Milkha Singh became a champion. Commonwealth gold, Asian Games, victories, national records. But his true legacy was not in the medals. It was in the hope he gave a young India. At a time when the country was still healing from partition, his story said, "We can rise, we can run. We can create heroes of our own soil." He wasn't just the flying Sikh. He was proof that a broken boy could rebuild himself into a national icon. So, let me ask you this. What is your partition? What moment in your life tried to break you? Maybe it was failure in exams. Maybe rejection in love. Maybe poverty, loss, or humiliation. Or you can run with it, transform it into your wings. Milkha Singh didn't run away from his past. He ran with it until it could no longer catch him. Today, decades later, Milkha Singh's story still whispers a timeless truth. Your scars don't make you weak. They are proof you survived. And survival itself is power. So, if you feel broken, if life has stolen something from you, don't stop. Don't surrender. Run. Run like Milkha did. Not just for medals, but for the dignity of proving to yourself that you are greater than your pain. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs hope. Subscribe to this channel for more modern parables and life-changing lessons from India and beyond. And always remember, pain is not the end of your story. It can be the beginning of your flight. Final thought. Milkha Singh entered history as the flying Sikh, but to me, he was more than a runner. He was a philosopher in motion. His life reminds us, the past may break your bones, but if you choose not to give up, it can never break your spirit.